Texas FHC. I guess this week's topic. Have you ever done something over the weekend? Just like really went after it and then just paid for it all week. So knee pain, hip pain, lower back pain. That's what we're going to talk about today. If you have an example of that, so playing touch football on the weekend or something like that, throw it in the chats for us. See if we can come up with some
warriors.
Good ones, right? So that's what we're talking about today is weekend warrioring.
Yeah.
And why we tend to suffer from it, from our long work week of not working right. Okay? So today we're going to start off by thinking about all the things that contribute to the issues that we'll have for the weekend warrior. I guess I always think about football, right? So in high school and all that stuff.
I always think about soccer.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I always think about soccer.
Like played football growing up, junior high, high school, all that good stuff. And I still think that I could jump on the field and play just like I did 20 years ago now, right?
Or the pickup game of basketball.
Sure.
Yeah. I hear a lot of those and a little bit of baseball, but not so much baseball.
No,
do you get baseball?
I don't know. No. Every once in a while, somebody like a pitcher or something like that, but they're usually playing like a intramural league for work, and it's softball, so it's easier on them.
Yeah.
So they're not doing the overhand pitch, so it's not as bad. I've been hearing a lot more pickleball lately.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, a lot of pickleball.
20-somethings, 30-somethings that are coming in going, I was playing some pickleball. I thought it was an easy game. My hip's killing me, my knees killing me, my shoulders killing me. So
and then like the one-off marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just decided to sign up for a marathon.
Yeah. Or like your friend signed you up for a marathon and you're all like, oh, no, I got to go.
Right. Yeah. Not the best. So I guess.
Yeah. So why doesn't that work? I mean, if we're thinking about it, I believe we kind of already understand, right? So we're not in the same condition, usually not age either, but oftentimes not in the same condition that we were whenever we were playing soccer or basketball or baseball or whatever else, or running all the time that we used to be. And then you go and you get crazy one weekend, your friends call you out, and next thing you know, you're all tore up, your knees tore up, your back's tore up. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I had a patient last week that was telling me about he was playing some touch football in the backyard with his buddies on Thanksgiving weekend. And the way that he tripped on the way down, and then two guys landed on him, broke his arm, broke his leg, like all kinds of things. And he's like, I was just running, but I couldn't run.
Yeah.
Tripped up on himself on the way down because he'd been a long time since he'd done any kind of sprinting.
Right.
And so he wasn't capable or ready to go.
Right. In our heads, we think that we are. We think like we're still there. We're ready to go.
100%.
Yeah. But our body has not been performing those activities in a long time. And even if you've been maintaining it somewhat on the weekends to a low level, if like during the week, your activity level has changed, your conditioning is going to drop, right? Especially if you are sitting at a desk for hours on end, 5 days a week, and then Saturday comes in and you're all like, oh yeah, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to sprint. And
right.
It's not going to work.
We are chiropractors, Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah, both chiropractors. So that's going to be the biggest thing that we're going to see is that, we're in the sedentary desk life now. So we're just sitting at a desk for hours on end, postures degrading. All of our muscles that are associated with sitting are becoming more dominant. And so we're losing a lot of our capability because we're not working out every day. We're not practicing every day. We're not playing every day like we used to.
Well, I mean, football players, they don't just do nothing all week. And then on the weekends, they're all like, let's go play ball. No, they are conditioning and training those muscles every day. And then they go play. And it's very, very different than you're just sitting down for hours on end and then deciding to ask those muscles, hey, why don't you work for me today?
Exactly. Well, how'd you break your finger, Andy? What happened? The curiosity. So just like anything else, the the conditioning is super important for all of our connective tissue. So it's not just the muscles, it's not just the
Yeah.
joints, but we think the ligaments and everything that's
Yeah.
associated with even our bone structure
Yes.
has a lot to do with the conditioning. So what do we do very often?
Because our bones respond to stress and
Mhm.
pressure. You've probably heard about this, like astronauts, right? They go up into space, and because of the change in gravity and pressure, they actually lose muscle and muscle mass, but also bone mass as well, right? And so they're always having to combat that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's why they're doing the
Yeah,
treadmill in space,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
So
I know. I
super
was about to say
interesting
this.
loading that they're doing there. So if I'm sitting at a desk 40 to 50 hours a week, not doing anything. Oh, yeah. Messed up on a trampoline. Got the finger on the trampoline.
Oh, that'll do it.
That'll
Oh,
get it.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Was it
Although that'll get you at any age. It doesn't matter, like 5, 12, 20, 40.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on a trampoline myself. Yeah, I imagine I could hurt myself pretty easily with a trampoline. So, like bending your finger backwards on the trampoline, did you actually like fracture the bone, or did you have an avulsion fracture? Did you already get it checked out? Um, so back to the loading. So if I'm just sitting at a desk 40 to 50 hours a week, not really doing much, and then all of a sudden on the weekend, I'm like, I remember I used to be able to hang clean 250 pounds back in high school. I bet I could do at least 200 pounds. And I'm going to go do some hang cleans. There's a good chance that I'm really going to mess up my shoulders, my lower back, my knees, anything like that, because those connective tissues really haven't had that kind of load in such a long time that they're just not structured for that anymore.
Yeah.
And so
Often found that like peer pressure is usually involved with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever they come in here, they're like, "Oh, I was going out with the guys, and like we were all weightlifting." And I was like, "Oh, that's."
We were doing deadlifts with my buddy, and he was like, you got this, no problem.
Right.
You can do 250. Yeah, that's how that goes. So the sudden onset of loads that we're not accustomed to is definitely not something that we're looking for. If you want to do those kinds of things, we got to think about doing those types of loads or building up to those loads again. Conditioning your body to be prepared for such a thing. And if you want to continue to do it, just maintaining that conditioning.
Yeah.
And so those are the things that we got to think about. Most of the things that we'll hear about are going to be shoulder injuries, because the posture degrades so much so that the shoulders aren't in the same position that they used to be. And so the connective tissue that holds your shoulder together is much more susceptible to injury, not just because they're weaker, but because the position's not the way that it's supposed to be. Knees, a lot of the lower posture issues that come from sitting for long hours are going to get the knees loaded in a very abnormal way. And so they're more susceptible to injury. Again, not just because of lack of loading, but because they're just not in a good position.
Yeah. And also it has to do with whenever it comes to joints. So if they're not used very often, they will become like dry, because the reason that we're able to get fluid in is due to movement. And so if we're not used to actually using them and moving them, they will basically dry out.
True. Yeah. So movement is key for any joint.
And
that's to that point. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. Anecdotal things will be, had a nurse that came in and she injured her shoulder. And she knows better than this, but she injured her shoulder, so she put it in a sling and she just left it there.
Oh no!
Right, and she was like, "Oh, it's gonna feel better," and so she stayed in this sling for like 8 weeks.
What?
Right, just thinking that it's gonna get better, but she had actually torn a muscle in her shoulder, but all the scar tissue formed around it, and the joint started to arthrose, so it tried to join together just because she wasn't using it.
Right,
and
it was like, we don't need to use this. Let's.
Right. So now she has frozen shoulders, she has arthrosis, she's developing all kinds of bone spurs, a number of different problems that were just past that one muscle injury that she had at the beginning.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So movement is life for any joint. Always got to get things moving and make sure that it works the way it's supposed to. But I mean, I think about like stairs. So how often do I go upstairs in my normal day-to-day life? Maybe 1 or 2 flights of stairs on occasion. But if I was going to run up 20 flights of stairs.
Right. If somebody told you to go up the hill.
Yeah, I'm going to be huffing and puffing. I mean, cardiovascular, all kinds of things are going to be struggling. My knees are going to be sore. My quads are going to be burning. It's just because I'm not used to doing those kinds of things. So same thing with any mild activity. So I want to go play pickleball.
Mhm.
Didn't seem like a really tough sport.
Right. And
but
whenever you're in the middle of it,
Yeah,
right, you're
not
like,
that
oh, this
bad.
is a little tiring, but we're fine, right? While you were in the middle of it,
2.5 hours in.
right, you're convinced that it's not that bad.
Right.
But then the next day, your body's like, oh
What
no.
happened?
Right. What happened? Why did you treat us so awfully without letting us?
I haven't done anything with my arm over my head in so long.
Yeah.
Right. So they always come in with shoulder problems,
for
all
sure.
kinds of upper back issues. It's just because they're not used to doing those
Uh-huh.
kinds of things. So if we're a desk jockey during the week
Mhm.
and we're trying to be a weekend warrior, we need to build ourselves up and do some different things that will help us. So some of the ideas that we would think of is that we need to probably condition a little bit during the week for those types of activities. So
Yeah.
if I'm going to be pickleball, we'll go back to pickleball. If I'm going to be doing something with my shoulders overhead, maybe I should probably do some activities where I'm stretching or working out overhead. I'm doing some thoracic openers. I'm trying to get
Yes.
that mobility back in my shoulder before I go do that heavy, intense activity with my
Right.
shoulder.
Mhm.
If we do that a couple of times during the week, get that mobility back in the parts and pieces, and then we start to add in that pickleball. Maybe not 3 hours the first time, but we start to add in the pickleball. We build up our stamina and our conditioning to that activity. That's going to be the most ideal situation.
Oh, did I ever tell you how my mom messed up her hip?
No.
Oh,
How should do that?
yeah. So, anyways, I invited her to go bowling.
Ah.
Yeah, to go bowling with us. And first round, no big deal. Second round, nope. And then we're on to the third, And she started feeling a little something, but really couldn't, identify. I was like, oh, whatever, I'm probably tired. And ever since then, ever since that moment,
never been right.
her hip has never been right. And that's just bowling, So whenever you do lose that conditioning, even little things like going bowling can even affect you. So really the name of the game is that if you want to continue to live that active lifestyle to any degree, whether it is bowling, whether it is that pickup game, whether it is going and working out with your friends and seeing who can do the best deadlift, you always have to condition your body. You can't just magically think that it is going to do what you want it to do just because you're asking it to.
Yeah. Just because you have that muscle memory from 20 years ago doesn't mean that you're capable of doing it still.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. So a couple times a week, if you did some kind of activity that was in the genre of what you're trying to do, that's going to be the most ideal.
Yeah.
Say, I'm going to do some deadlifts. I know that that's going to come up in a couple of weeks. So I'm going to start doing some body weight squats. I'm going to do some mobility.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nothing crazy, but a couple times a week, I'm going to get into that movement pattern. I'm going to get that type of portion in my body loaded. Maybe I'll practice what the form would be for that deadlift and try and get those things warmed up to the idea that, hey, I'm going to put a load on this.
Yeah.
And so if you do that a couple of times a week, so 2 to 3 times a week, building that up, that's going to help you a ton. If I'm going to do some kind of running activity, maybe I'll do some hip openers a couple of times a week. I'll do some air squats, just body weight squats, get that mobility back in my knees. Do more activity-based things.
Yeah.
Some static stretching wouldn't be a bad idea, but it's not going to be the most optimal thing that's going to gain you that stamina or conditioning towards that goal that you're looking for. And another side point would be thinking about what you're doing for that 40 or 50 hours sitting at the desk. Is my posture decent? Right? So should I check in on my posture set a reminder on your phone at least a couple of times during your shift.
Yeah.
So if I got a morning shift, maybe I'll check on it every hour and a half. Am I really slumped over working on my computer like this? Oh man, I should probably sit up. Just give yourself that cue to reset.
All right, moving a little bit.
Right? Did I get up and walk the water cooler and back? Those kinds of things are going to be important.
You can even stretch at your desk.
Oh yeah.
Like
lots of shoulder stretches that you can do at the desk.
And you'd be amazed, like just making some minor changes can really improve things.
Right. Even improve some of your productivity, so you feel a little bit better. Your body gets a little bit of endorphin from some of those movements. So it generally just gives you a little bit more pep in your step, so you'll work better. You'll feel a lot less miserable while you're sitting at the desk too. So checking on your posture, those cues, getting some kind of movement into your body. at least every hour, maybe 2 hours in the beginning. And just getting yourself used to doing some kind of movements. I mean, air squats is probably the best thing that you could possibly do. It works out all kinds of parts of your body. It's going to involve your upper back, your lower back, your knees, your hips. It's going to do all kinds of things. So being able to go into a deep squat and then all the way back up, and being able to do that multiple times, so it's going to build all kinds of endurance.
I always recommend it to the ladies.
Yeah.
Always recommend it to the ladies. It's really good for pelvic health, by the way.
Yeah, and it gets those glutes to turn on, because that's one of the things that we're going to lose sitting at a desk for hours on end. We're going to get a hip flexor dominance, and our glutes are just going to turn off. Right? And it's considered it's a phasic muscle or a movement muscle, but it is a postural muscle as well. And so it gets inhibited by the brain the second that we get in that forward flex position.
Yeah.
So the brain just says,
it has to.
We don't have a glute anymore. We just don't use it. So it completely disconnects from it. And so doing things like squats, air squats, really stimulates that glute to work, because it has to work in that position. And it keeps that connection to it. Neural stimulation to muscles is important too. So the more we stimulate the muscles via that connection, the better our nervous system is going to communicate to the muscle, the better it's going to be able to use that muscle when we ask it to do an intense exercise or activity with it, and the less prone it's going to be to injury.
And talking about the nurse who put her shoulder in a sling, right? Okay, but the same thing happens to people that, so they're going and they're playing soccer, right, over the weekend. They tear up their low back. And then they go and sit at a desk for the next 5 days.
Just let it lock up.
And just let it lock up. Like, that's the same thing. And then the next weekend, guess what? You got another game, right? And you're still tore up. And so you continue to do the same thing over and over again. And it becomes a really vicious cycle. So that's another way that just being a weekend warrior can come back and really bite you.
Yeah. We develop chronic inflammation in those scenarios.
Yeah.
It gets into this weird little cycle where it just gets injured, starts to heal,
but it's healing wrong.
All the
because your body's gonna heal,
and then you go tear up the scar tissue again. And it never gets out of that cycle. So it just goes in this little circle, and that perpetuates or makes more and more of the degeneration process happen. So a lot of our patients that don't have a tremendous amount of problems right away, but down the road they have problems, we see some pretty serious osteoarthritis. So we see some pretty bad breakdowns of parts and pieces. So I'd say like a manufacturing job. So this guy's on his feet all day. He works. He's very active for his day-to-day life, but he has some injuries in the background. He just pushes through it and keeps going.
Yeah.
Nothing severe. So he gets like a 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. His lower back's a little achy at the end of the day. He doesn't think much of it.
When he wakes up in the morning.
Right. 30 years down the road, he starts thinking about retiring. He gets a more cushy job where he's working in the office and he's sitting a lot more. All that scar tissue just finally locks down on him, and he comes in and he goes, "I'm just miserable. I don't know what happened. I didn't do anything. Everything's locked up now."
Yeah.
And I take some x-rays and I go, "Oh, buddy, you got some really bad arthritis." It's because he kept things moving just enough, but he had a lot of that inflammation happening in the background. And so those little cues, those little things that our body's telling us after I do a weekend warrior activity. So
because your body starts relying on other muscles as well, and then just the recruitment and the compensations.
So if you're doing these weekend warrior things and you have a constant, every time I do this, something hurts, then we probably have a problem with that particular part. So every time I go and play pickleball, my upper back and my shoulder hurt. We probably have an underlying issue there. And if it doesn't go away after you get some stamina and some range of motion, you probably need to get that checked out.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the reason that we do the TrueForm system. So what we do in the office is we're addressing the mobility, the function, the nervous system, everything within the entire body. And so it's not just one part or piece. You show up with some neck pain, I know that we have a lot of compensations everywhere else in the body. And so we have to address that. Develop a lot of the stamina within the proper muscles, the connective tissues, the range of motion, and that's going to get it where you can do those things that you want to do. Because not very many of my patients are going to show up and say, I wish I could work 60 hours a week sitting at my desk with no pain.
Oh yeah, that's usually.
Most of them are like, on the weekend or after work when I'm at yoga class, I get this hip pain. That's what they're talking about. So trying to get back to those normal activities, being able to do those things you want to do when you have the time to do it is going to be the most important thing for us. And that's the reason that the TrueForm system works so well. So for you guys, try a little bit more motion during the week.
Yeah.
Try building up a little bit more of that stamina, a little bit more of the conditioning for those parts and pieces, and then
Yes.
build yourself into that weekend warrior thing.
Yeah.
I know it's really hard to avoid the pickup game of flag football with your buddies at the bar, but maybe think twice about that. The last 20 years I haven't really run. I should probably not go running tonight. So,
and if you are constantly having the same issue pop back up, go get it taken care of. Go get it checked out.
Any competent
Save
physical medicine office
yourself.
should be able to help you with that.
Save yourself some time down the road. Yeah.
Sports medicine, somebody like that should be able to get you back on the right track.
Right. Yeah.
So if you guys have any questions, if you have any ideas for our future podcasts, drop us a line. You can find us through Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all the things. You can always message us through that. I always answer all the DMs on those. So I'm always available on those for any random questions or ideas. I love talking to everybody. And if you want to, you can always comment on our videos on here. We monitor those, so you can always send something back on that. Until next week, I'm Dr. B. This is Dr. J.
See ya.
We'll see you next time.